Hey everybody, this is MeshWeaver here. It's been a while since my last update, so instead of creating a collection of snapshots and then creating this huge image out of all of them, I thought a video would probably be a better idea. And it's also a bit more interesting to be able to move around the scene instead of having fixed images. So yeah, let's just go right in. As you can see, I already have Blender loaded up with the scene. Now the last picture, the last update picture featured the plugs right here. Sorry, I'm using my DeviantArt galleries because I didn't have the render on hand, but I had DeviantArt open, so yeah. So the plugs are on layer 7. So that's the last screenshot that I took, and that's actually the last thing I worked on in this blend file. So let's actually move around here a bit. And what is causing this lag? It's been slow ever since I well, let's try deactivating some of these. No, okay, wait, those are important. That would not be good. Okay, so this is the RF switch, which plugs into the back of the television. You can't really see it properly here because the viewport is just rotating the wrong way, and I deactivated subsurf. There. Now it's going to be a bit slower, but it looks a lot better. There's this small inset here, which is where it's a identification number thing, the NES 00 whatever. That's where that goes. And then there's these cables. This one plugs into the TV, as you probably already know. That's one of those hexagonal switches or plugs that screws into the back of the TV, or the television. And then there's the other switch that plugs right into the actual console. So that's pretty much all done. There's this other connector here. Sorry if this is slow. This is actually quite slow. There's this thing here that you can plug another cable into so that you don't monopolize the RF connection on the back of the television. I'm going to stop saying TV because that just sounds ridiculous. But other than that, there hasn't been that much modeling. I mean, I started a more updated television model, but I haven't worked on it in a while, and I've actually begun to wonder if it wouldn't be better for me just to create a studio render of the actual thing, because it's just so much bigger than I had originally planned, and it's just taking forever. Not to mention that I haven't actually been working on it that much. But yeah, there's something I'd never done in the other videos, is to show how many objects there actually are, how many pieces of mesh. Now, right here you have this the outliner window. This is my new setup with the properties here, outliner over here, and the timeline on the bottom. So I just have all this data, and sometimes I split it down up here down to have the dope sheet when animating stuff. But this is our main concern here. Each one of these orange triangles, or vertex triangles, in the outliner is an object. So you can just see how many objects I've had to model for this thing. It was nuts. The list just kept getting bigger and bigger, because as I turned the actual console around in my hands, I noticed stuff that I couldn't overlook. So yeah, that I wanted it to be as detailed as I could make it. So yeah, that turned out to be more of a pain than anything. But here you have the controller, then you have the controller cable mesh, which is kind of small. And then the controller plate, controller start reset buttons, NES bottom piece 001, which is actually the these plaques down here, which I ended up separating because I couldn't, for some reason, crease them enough without messing up the entire topology here. But yeah, now there's the NES cartridge, which is actually on top. Let me just bring up this stuff there. There it is. And the NES cartridge label, and the ridges, which are right there. The controller socket, which is actually on this layer here. I'll go over there later. The NES feet, which are down there. The front two, which is this controller's input. And you have the lid, the outlets, which are right there. Right there. Those outlets. You have the yellow and white cables that go into here. The RF switch plugs in here. Power input and the channel 3 or 4 connector. Power input, which is also on that layer. Power reset are the front buttons. Oh, I forgot. Oh yeah, okay. Forget it. I thought I'd forgotten to make the UV map for this, but I haven't even started yet, so. The RF switch, which is somewhere. Shift 7. Oh, okay. That's that thing. You have the RF switch NES cable and the other cable, and then the shaft cover, which is on layer 1 as well. It's this rectangular piece here that was actually I read somewhere that these shafts were actually not ventilation shafts. They were an expansion port slot, but there was never an expansion port or an expansion thing designed for the NES, so that kind of stayed there with no use. But then you have the top ventilation, which is on layer 2, right there. This top ventilation here, which is all creased with loop cuts. That was a real pain. The top piece, and let me just scroll out here. There. Zooming out. The ventilation, which is these ventilation shafts here. This extension, which I should probably rename, because that's actually the expansion port. The power plug, which is again on that layer. The power cord, which is on layer 6. Oh yeah, the power cord. Yeah, the power cord is modeled. This piece is actually on this layer here, this last layer. NES connector, RF switch, NES C connector. Huh? NES C. Oh, RF switch, NES cable connector. Okay. Sorry, it's been a while since I opened this blend file. So basically the only thing left is this layer here, which is where I stored all the plugs. So let's maybe bring this this vertex count down by turning these off. Yeah, that's better. It's not much, but it's still a bit better. So you have the power input cable here, which plugs in this way. You have the controller socket, you have the power plug, or the power box. You have the RF switch that connects to the TV, and the RF or the television. I have to stop saying TV like that. Like TV just sounds weird. And the RF switch for the NES. So that's basically it in Blender. It's really, really close to being finished. If I just activate all these layers, 6, you can see that it's coming together pretty well. You have the cartridge here, which is going to feature The Legend of Zelda, the original. And if I eventually do make a television set and create an actual scene, the actual cartridge that will be in the console will be Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. So I'll have to find a screenshot of that to put on the TV screen. But I'm really not sure about all that. While I'm here, I'll actually rename this ventilation shaft. They've gone up the ventilation shaft. Sorry, I just remembered a line from Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. So this is actually expansion port, or not port, expansion port. So it's moved it all the way up there for some reason. It's organized them alphabetically on its own. Cool. Okay, so that's pretty much okay. I'll close this down because it's pretty slow. And close down this. And okay, we're back on my desktop. First question you might have is, why in the world do I have a Sonic the Hedgehog background when working on a Zelda game? A Zelda project. I mean, like Sega versus Nintendo. Whoa! Well, it's actually not that bad now, because Sega is developing software, and they're pretty much putting the rivalry behind them. So yeah, I don't mind. So anyway, before I go on again, you might also notice that these two toolbars are here, and if you've already used GIMP, then you probably recognize these. So this is the toolbox from GIMP, and also the layers, channels, paths, undo, and other stuff that I can't see right now box. And the reason I have this up is because I just finished the UV map for the controller. So this was actually done with Blender as well, because each of these, let me just bring this one up, this was modeled with curves, and then rendered with a shadeless material on a solid black background with no anti-aliasing to preserve the sharpness, and then just recoloring it in with the paint bucket right here. And then modeling some text using vertices, because curves was just taking way too long. Actually, let me just readjust that. It's not centered. There. Save that. So this is pretty much ready for UV mapping, if I feel up to actually trying it out, which I don't really feel like doing right now. I'll just move on to making some other stuff, I think. I had something planned, but I can't remember what it was. I think it was to make these arrows on the control pad, because there's these arrows on the control pad here. But hopefully this will work. My plan is to use this as the actual color base, but the actual deformation will be provided by a cloud texture, because basically that is what it looks like. If I just use this picture here, you can see that it's very grainy, and it's almost like there was noise and a bit of cloud. Now this one was a scan that did not work very well, because all of these elements were further away from the scanner, and these were right against the plastic plate. But yeah, look, this is the actual render. It's 1600 by 800, just to make sure that it was high quality. And then there's this other one. And I have to say, these were fun. This wasn't too bad. This was a pain. I don't know why. It was just weird. Especially the B. I don't know why that was weird. That was tougher. It was tougher than softer. Tough, soft. Have to stop making silly jokes. So yeah, that's basically it. I hope to be able to create more text. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to do. There was another texture that's missing on the bottom of the controller. I actually had the controller in my hands roughly 10 minutes ago, but I think I forgot it somewhere. But there's the serial number on the bottom of the controller and stuff, like the made in Japan and NES 002. So I have to create a normal map or bump map for that, so I can map it to the bottom where the plate was. I actually forgot to show that. Oh wait, I showed that in the last video. Oh, sorry. Blender 2.5 always takes a lot more time to load. So, that's basically it. And I think I'll cut this off now. So, yeah. See you around.